Where do I even begin with this movie? Hi everybody, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions, and today I'm going to give you my review of the latest bizarre dark comedy slash philosophical mindfuck from Yorgos Lanthimos, Poor Things. But before we get started, you know exactly what to do. Please leave a like at the end of the video if I've earned it, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss any of my new content. Now let's get into it. Poor Things centers on Bella Baxter, played by Emma Stone, a young woman brought back to life by the mad scientist surgeon Goblin Baxter, played by Willem Dafoe. Goblin Baxter is also a surgical professor at a medical school, and he employs a young man to help him take care of Bella, Max McCandles, played by Rami Youssef.
This is Mr. McCandles.
Hello, Bella.
Bella starts the movie with the consciousness of a toddler and really has to learn everything again, from walking and talking to how to eat to the rights and wrongs of polite society, eventually discovering pleasure, which she really can't get enough of.
Well, that sounds dirty.
This unfortunately also happens to be when she meets a disgusting deviant of a lawyer, Duncan Wedderburn, played by Mark Ruffalo, who takes her away from the quiet security of the Goblin estate and into the world where she can learn all about the horrors and pleasures that await.
Why keep it in my mouth if it is revolting?
That's what she said.
This movie is absolutely astounding. I've always been a fan of Yorgos Lanthimos and his provocative, disturbing, and just straight up weird filmography, including the psychologically horrific Dogtooth, weirdly dry, abrupt, and stifled The Killing of a Sacred Deer and The Lobster, and my personal favorite of all of his films, the darkly hilarious and unconventional love triangle drama The Favorite, also starring Emma Stone, so I was definitely excited to see what surprises this movie held. And let me tell you, it did not disappoint.
That was incredible.
As soon as we start and jump into the black and white first act that goes from a Frankensteinian drama of sorts, of creation and learning, to a pretty hilarious and fun dark comedy as Goblin and Max do their best to control Bella and help her learn how to be a polite woman again, while she's just being increasingly obstinate and overwhelmingly curious, this movie sunk its teeth into me and did not let go.
Excuse me.
The film is more focused on comedy in the first half, but eventually does raise up questions of morality and what it means to truly be alive and philanthropy and philosophical shit. But once Mark Ruffalo comes into the story, this movie jumps headfirst into comedy territory, jumping between graphic sex scenes
Avert your eyes, Templeton.
to incredibly well-written moments of Duncan ready to tear his hair out due to Bella's complete lack of understanding of polite society and how to just function in public, which left Victoria and I and the rest of our theater in stitches.
Bella!
Oh.
A lot of this was shown in the trailers, so I'm pretty comfortable discussing the first half of the film, but one thing I can really commend this movie on is just how unpredictable it is, so I'm not really going to touch the second half all that much. I will say that as we enter the second half and Bella becomes a little more read, eloquent, and educated, the film does lose a little bit of fun, but the way this is crafted and written is so brilliantly done, I was fully engaged until the very end.
You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Now let me really start praising this movie because this is definitely one of my favorites of 2023. Emma Stone, holy shit, she has definitely solidified herself in the last decade as my favorite actress, and yet she manages to blow all of those roles right out of the water here. In the opening scene, she somehow perfectly portrays what amounts to basically a toddler in a woman's body, all the way down to the broken English or the way that she throws a temper tantrum.
No more. Anymore is too much.
It's no coincidence that the parts with the immature, uneducated Bella Baxter are the more fun, funny parts of the film, but as the movie progresses and she learns a lot more, traveling with a Mark Ruffalo that you absolutely love to hate between his slimy, smarmy personality, the way he takes advantage of Bella, and eventually just becomes a broken, pathetic husk of a man, the humor just gets deeper and funnier as the film goes on. Bella also starts to grow increasingly more intelligent and deep as the movie goes on too, and though, like I said earlier, it does tend to take some of that fun away, especially in the final act, I was so drawn into her adventure and Bella's exploration of herself, her sexuality, her philosophy, her morals, that by the end she ends up being one of Lanthimos' best characters that he's ever written.
Yeah, she's pretty great, right?
And she gives everything into this performance that must have been grueling and taken a lot out of her. She also has incredible chemistry with the rest of the cast too, especially Mark Ruffalo when he's not being a complete asshole, but also with Willem Dafoe, who plays that creepy mad scientist with enough of a heart to where you're not really freaked out by him, you really root for him, especially when seeing the loving father-daughter relationship that they have together. The last cast member I'll talk about here is Rami Youssef as Max McCandles. Man, do I feel for that character. There's a running theme in the movie that left me feeling a little icky about these men trying to take advantage of a woman with the mentality of a toddler, pretty much.
Yikes!
But in the case of Max, he seems to genuinely love Bella and want to provide provide for her. So to see all of the bullshit that he goes through in this movie to get to that point, it's honestly kind of heartbreaking to see it from that perspective. But he does a great job, just like everyone else here. Besides the performances, I've mentioned how funny this movie is, and it's truly hilarious. From incredibly dark comic bits like the immature, youthful brain Bella Baxter stabbing a cadaver and yelling squish, squish, squish as she does it.
Oh, that's nasty.
To the dry humor that comes from Max's interactions with Goblin Baxter and the absolutely side-splitting scenes of Mark Ruffalo just losing his shit later in the movie. I was just laughing hard throughout this entire thing. I know I've mentioned it a couple times about how some of the fun is lost as Bella becomes more educated and in tune with the world, but this is when the script really deepens and asks you to ponder some philosophical questions and about the meaning of life, and it really worked for me and gave Victoria and I a lot to discuss on the drive home. The last thing I'll praise this film on, besides Yerskin Fendrick's incredibly dissonant and unique score that is very string heavy, are the production values, cinematography, and visual effects. The world that Yorgos Lanthimos and his crew have created here is absolutely beautiful in the weirdest and darkest ways, and the way he frames and sets up his shots, occasionally uses fisheye lenses, dabbles in going from black and white to insanely vibrant and saturated colors, and the immaculate costume design all call to mind a classic Victorian era England, while somehow being modern and semi-futuristic at the same time. I really love nearly every frame of this film, and everything is so intentional, well thought out, written, shot, directed, and acted so damn well that this movie has definitely earned a spot on my top 10 of 2023 whenever I get around to doing that. And that's my review of Poor Things. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, you know exactly what to do. Please leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss any of my new content. While you're at it, you can scroll down the description, find the links to my social media, leave a comment, let me know if you saw the movie and what you thought of it. And if you want more of my content, you can click or tap on these cards right here. They'll take you to my review of Wonka or just over to my channel where you can check out my reviews, my shorts, and my old shit.